So our next guest is one of those fighters. Kelly Chewbacca from the great state of Alaska is with us now. Thanks for joining us, Kelly.
Thank you for having me.
So I think we asked you, what do you want your title to be? And the first thing you said was mom, which as a mom of 5 girls, I was like, that's right, that's fantastic. But in addition to mom, you're also a candidate for the U.S. Senate in Alaska. You're running against Lisa Murkowski, a huge, I don't know, do we even call her a rhino? What do we call her?
She's a rhino. She's a rhino because...
is she like a soft Democrat or
Kelly,
something?
you know she's a rhino because what have the Republicans done in the state of Alaska vis-a-vis Lisa Murkowski?
The Republican Party in Alaska officially censured Lisa Murkowski. She's not allowed to run as a Republican in the 22 Senate race. She has to pick another party. She's a woman without a party. And they've officially endorsed me for the race, so I will be the Republican candidate. We have a different election system up here without party primary races. And so the Republicans used internal rules to set me apart as a Republican candidate. And that's significant because in Alaska, we always vote Republican. We selected Donald Trump as our president twice, and he won by double digits. But as far as Lisa's title, I call her the CEO of the Biden administration. She is the chief enabling officer for anything Biden needs to get done. She is sure to get it through the Senate for him. She is the deciding vote on many of his nominees. She's the architect of the Green New Deal infrastructure bill. So she's his CEO.
Well, I got to tell you, I'm sure that the Biden administration is looking for a new border czar because God only knows we don't even know where Kamala is. So maybe Lisa can just, go straight into that role instead of running again. Now, I'd be curious, what are your thoughts of why Lisa is running again? And then more importantly, why are you running?
Well, Lisa Murkowski is running again because she has to cling to her Murkowski political dynasty. She and her dad have held on to that Senate seat for 40 years. Her dad appointed her to his unexpired Senate term when he became governor. That's how she got her seat, and she's held on to it all these years. And I could explain those elections, but the most important thing is she's never had 50% or more of the vote in Alaska. And this is the year to get her out because Lisa Murkowski's never had to run for Senate after President Trump has been president. And all of her true colors have been on full display these last several years, and Alaskans are finished with her. She has somewhere between a 6 and 12% approval rate in the state of Alaska right now. And I'll tell you the story about why I'm running. My parents moved to Alaska in the 70s. My dad had served in Vietnam, and my mom did not have a college degree. And they had some rough times and ended up homeless, living under a tarp. But my mom was able to be one of the first Alaskans up at Prudhoe Bay when we started to build the pipeline. She got an oil job, and that oil job changed the entire course of our family's story. They fought their way into the working class. I'm the first in my family to pursue a college degree at Texas A&M, and you can see where the story goes from there. Back in January, Lisa Murkowski started to be the chief enabling officer for an energy annihilating Biden administration. She pushed through the confirmation of Deb Haaland for Interior Secretary, who has a history of destroying fossil fuel production in America. And they have effectively implemented that agenda through this administration. And that's personal for us Alaskans. They have killed thousands of oil and gas and natural resource jobs up here. Our economy is on an absolute meltdown. And for me, that's personal. That's my mom's oil job. Those are our stories. Those are our American dreams being crushed by a senator who's supposed to work for us, not against us, because government's supposed to be for the people. And so I thought, you know what? There's more expected of me as a daughter of a Vietnam vet. My dad fought in Vietnam than sitting here yelling at the TV on my sofa. I'm going to get up and fight for the Alaskans who fought for me. And that's what got me in this race.
We're all yelling at our TVs from various sofas.
Honey, you don't even turn on the TV, so I don't know what you're talking about.
So we have decided to not turn on the TV and to make our own TV, Kelly. So we appreciate you being on our show where we try to give people a little more time to talk and bring people the guests that they really want to hear from. And one of the things that I'd love you to explain quickly as you can, that I've known Lisa Murkowski a long time because I was literally the White House political director when she was appointed, as you described, by her father. And there was this whole question about whether Sarah Palin was going to take her out in the primary. She ended up basically running as an independent last time. But now, how have the rules been rejiggered, as only the establishment can do, to try to keep her in office? Because she can't, as you said, she couldn't win a straight-up Republican contest.
That's right. So it was her campaign team that pushed through a ballot measure just last fall so she would not have to go through a party primary. And they've gone to this jungle primary where anyone can run on the ballot. And she wouldn't have to survive a Republican primary because she knew she couldn't. So now Lisa Murkowski will be able to survive the primary process, if you will. The top 4 vote earners will make it to a final election. And she thought that this would help her, but I don't think it will, because the Republicans said they would use their internal rules to set apart their candidate, and she's not allowed to run as a Republican, but we always vote Republican. So in the final election, there will be 4 of us. I'll be on the ballot. A Democrat will be on the ballot. Lisa Murkowski will be on the ballot, and most likely an independent libertarian, because most of us in Alaska, we're all libertarian. That's why we live in Alaska. But the way it'll shake out is the way that our data shows. Last year, Dan Sullivan, our other senator, he had 54% of the vote. Donald Trump won with well over 50% of the vote both times. We've had a Republican congressman in place since the days of Nixon. I'm not exaggerating. And we have a Republican governor, and all of them clear well over 50% of the vote. The rule is the first candidate that clears 50% of the vote wins. And so when we start running the numbers on this election, we are already getting more people behind us than Dan Sullivan had behind him last election. If we only get his supporters, we win.
That's remarkable. And I do think, as Matt says, there is a growing enthusiasm for Republican candidates, for Trump conservative candidates too, who are really deciding that they need to be part of this process to stop what we're seeing with the implementation of the left's radical agenda. Just to name a few items, and I'm hoping to God that Alaska is what I would call a safe space or a safe state to go to.
I like that better. Safe state. I like better.
I think we just steal the terms of the left.
Okay.
On critical race theory and on these issues of gender confusion starting at the age of 5, how is Alaska pushing back to ensure, and you as a senator, as a senatorial candidate, to ensure that we stop these horrific plans by the left to basically divide us, divide our children, divide us as a country?
We need to be honest about what's happening. So my husband is Black. My children are Black. My husband has an incredible story. His dad grew up in a mud hut with a single mom in the rainforests of Democratic Republic of Congo, and came over here on a scholarship, got his college and business degree, and ended up becoming one of the top executive vice presidents of Citibank. Critical race theory tells us that we've made no progress in defeating racism in America, and it is systemic in our systems, our institutions, our structures, and everyone looks at everybody else with racism. And the truth is, my family absolutely debunks that theory. And the idea that there's racism within our family, or that my children have to overcome any more barriers than the ones they actually have to overcome, is a lie that I will not let teachers and schools and this leftist agenda put on them, because I believe America is exceptional. I've told you my story, and I've told you my husband's story. Those are my children's stories. They can be anything. The American dream is an opportunity for them to seize. So what I'd like to see as a senator, I would love to say we're going to withhold any federal funding for any school system that is going to perpetuate lies that go against what Martin Luther King Jr. told us. We judge by the content of character and not the color of skin. And if you're going to impose that on the minds of our children, to tell them that they are just the color of their skin and they cannot get past that, then you don't get federal funding from your and my taxpayer dollars, because then the story that my husband has lived, the story that my children are living, isn't possible. And that's just not true.
Oh, that's great to know that about your family. These are the American stories that the left actually don't want to be told. You brought up your family. Do they think you're crazy, or are they excited that you're doing this?
So we have 5 children, and they're just 7 to 17. Yes. And they are absolutely all in on this with me. This was a family decision. You know, we sat down together and we talked about our love of country, our love of state. There were some guys a long time ago who wrote life, liberty, sacred honor, and they meant it. And we've inherited a great country because of them and service members like them who've paid a great price so we can have a great country. My kids understand that. They're close to my dad. We call him Papa. He's a typical Alaska man, and he lives up here with us. And we understand that we have the liberty that we have today, the freedoms we have today, the opportunities we have today, but it's come at a price. And so we asked ourselves, are we willing to pay a small price in order to protect and defend the country that we've inherited because of sacrifices of service members and our founding fathers? And we all said yes. So the kids, especially my older ones, they work on the campaign with us. We talk regularly about the issues facing the nation. They're part of the strategy. This is the best way that we can engage our children in being invested in what's happening next in our nation. I believe that I'm training the leaders of tomorrow in this campaign of today. This isn't politics for me. This is our family, this is our history, and this is our future.
Well, Kelly, we feel the same way. It's totally why we've taken our kids to CPAC since they're little, and our kids work at CPAC as well. They volunteer because we feel it's so important to have these conversations about this great country and about the issues that we're tackling today and how important it is to be involved in the political process even if you don't even like politics, because all the policies impact you directly, indirectly, and it's important to have a voice and be part of that. So we think it's great. I think that's so important to have them involved as well. Where can people go to support your campaign, to learn more about what you're doing on the campaign trail?
Our website is kelly4ak.com. That's Kelly, FORAK.com. There's a lot there. There's news clips, information about my background and history and the story. We'd really appreciate your support. It's going to cost a lot of money to beat Lisa Murkowski. We have a lot of support from across America. We cannot raise that money in Alaska because our economy has been hit so hard. And this is surprising, but we only have about 220,000 voters who will vote in our U.S. Senate race up here. And so raising the money that we need to win a Senate campaign in Alaska is impossible, which is one of the reasons it's been hard to defeat Lisa Murkowski. She gets all of her money from D.C. insiders. But now we have America's support because they see, as well as we do, how bad she is for the nation. So please help us, kelly4ak.com.
And then we just say CPAC was very happy to endorse you in this race. Lisa Murkowski's been out here a long time. She promised, I believe, to be a certain kind of senator. She's turned out to be a completely different kind of senator. It's time for some fresh legs, Kelly, and some new ideas, and it's time to put America first.
Yeah.
That's right. Thank you, Matt. We also have President Trump's endorsement, and he said he'll come up here and he'll campaign for us next year. So I think it's going to be a winning race. I'm excited to see you in the U.S. Senate.
We're happy to come join you on the campaign trail, too. However, being from Miami, Florida, I think I'd probably freeze to death, so I'd have to prepare for that. But we're here to support you and our supporters as well to make sure you make it to the U.S. Senate. And quite frankly, what I'm seeing is more of not only an Alaskan future senator, but a future national leader. So thank you so much for what you're doing and fighting hard for the people of Alaska, and we've got your back. So thank you, Kelly. We'll be right back.